What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Every once in a while I like to make a video where I take a bunch of smaller topics, put them together into one bigger video, and just kind of bounce them off you guys, whether they be little news bits or just impressions or stuff that I've been thinking about or feeling. Just kind of throw them out there, bounce them off of you guys, see what you guys think about them. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Imago loop. If you don't know, this is the last day to grind the Undying Mind strike, the Undying Mind Nightfall, and get a pretty good chance at getting an Imago loop. Now, the Imago loop is notable because it's a Fatebringer style hand cannon. It looks like a Fatebringer. It does pretty good damage, but it also has some really interesting rolls that can happen on it. It's a good base weapon. It's got good stability, good range, just like the base stats of a hand cannon are all there. So anything that you add on top of that with perks just make it outstanding. If you're looking for a PvE role, obviously you're going to be looking for Outlaw and Firefly. If you're looking for a PvP role, there's a lot of different ways you can go. I actually just got a great hand cannon from last week's Iron Banner that has Outlaw Rifle Barrel and Icarus on it, which I absolutely adore. So I'm not going to be looking for a PvP role. Of course, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I am definitely looking for that mini Fatebringer, that Outlaw Firefly role that I actually think could be really useful in the upcoming Wrath of the Machine raid. The Wrath of the Machine raid is just right around the corner. It's a month away. And I've got a feeling that close quarters combat is going to have a little more of an emphasis than with something like the King's Fall raid. So maybe having a really good close combat hand cannon that has, Outlaw and Firefly could be really, really good in that raid. Maybe a shotgun would be really good in that raid, as opposed to King's Fall, where it was all scout rifles and sniper rifles. With the new raid, it's going to be all about collision and shit bumping into each other, as Bungie likes to say. So having a good close quarters loadout could be really good, and I think the Imago loop, getting that Outlaw Firefly roll on Imago loop could be really good. So last chance tonight to grind that strike. There are some secrets to grinding that strike. You can use a Dragon's Breath to kind of kill yourself before you kill the Undying Mind, and it drops the loot, and then you reset and you get to fight the Undying Mind again. There's tricks out there. Definitely look them up on YouTube. It's not that difficult to do, or you can just kind of grind through the whole strike over and over again, whatever you like to do. But it's definitely worth taking a few shots, seeing if you can get a good Imago loop. Like I said before, Rise of Iron is right around the corner. Now, I am doing everything I can do with Rise of Iron to get into the Wrath of the Machine raid as high a light level with as good gear as I can. I'm doing all that faction rep tipping. I'm buying a ton of heavy ammo so I can further increase my rep with them and get those drops out of leveling up factions. I'm saving exotic shards. I'm saving exotic and legendary engrams. Anything I think I can do to start off in Rise of Iron as high a light level as I can, and then build from there up until 3 days from then with the Wrath of the Machine raid, I'm doing. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea for 99% of people. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to go into the Wrath of the Machine raid. I want to attempt that world's first with the Planet Destiny crew. And I want to I want to give myself the best shot at success that I can. Last year with the King's Fall raid, we had a pretty good raid run going until we hit Oryx. And then we were just, we just didn't have the light level to get it done. As a group, we just weren't there. So I'm taking that lesson and applying that forward. I do think it's going to be a little easier this time around because we're not getting a completely new system. We can infuse our current legendary gear. So we already have great weapons for raiding. It's just about getting that light level as high as we can. I do think it's going to be easier this year to get your light level up. But as you always know, it's those last few levels that are the hardest, right? As you make big gains, you move up fast, and then once you get to those last few levels, last 10, 5 levels, it gets to be a lot slower, a lot more grindy. So I want to give myself the best chance I can. But for most people, I would think that is going to be a path to burnout, right? Is like if you burn through all that content super fast, we're not going to I don't think we're going to get another DLC before Destiny 2. We might get something like the April update next year, but my assumption is at this point is that we are going to get Rise of Iron, and that DLC is going to be expected to hold us over until Destiny 2 in September of next year. That's my expectation. We will get live events. We may get another April update type thing, but really this is the last big thing until Destiny 2. So I'm going to recommend that most people just try and enjoy this as long as possible. If you want to see the raid for the first time blind, just don't check out any YouTube videos about it. You know, make sure your raid team is doing the same thing. But going in there and immediately, you know, trying to get everything done as fast as possible, you know, that just makes the content less long. That was a tongue twister. So, you know, that's what I'm doing. I don't necessarily think it's a great idea, but I have my reasons for doing it. I do want to compete for World's First. I think that is a really fun thing to do. And if you want to do it too, you know, there's a lot of things you can do, you know, like buying a ton of heavy ammo from Xur. That helps you do it. But, you know, you have to know that it's definitely going to shorten the amount of time you get to enjoy Rise of Iron. It's also a last chance week for Moments of Triumph. So in the next few weeks leading up to Rise of Iron, if you want to get all your King's Fall challenge modes done for the Moments of Triumph, you're kind of running out of time. It's do or die at this point. I believe this week is going to be Oryx, and the last week before Rise of Iron will be the War Priest, and this is your last chance to get them all done. I think the same might be true for Court of Oryx, although I'm not positive about that. So if you want those calcified fragments for completing the challenge modes, this is your last chance to go through the whole set. Getting those isn't that difficult, to be honest with you. The challenge modes weren't nearly as difficult as some would have hoped for. It's definitely going to be an easy thing to find some raiders who are also doing that because it is the last chance. I think I'll be doing some raids on stream as well, trying to help people get those last chance Moments of Triumph out of the way. So if you want to raid with me, get those last few calcified fragments out of the way, stop by the Twitch channel, the Briar Rabbit Twitch channel, and we'll be doing some raids. I think that'll be a fun way to lead up into the Rise of Iron, and also kind of practice our raiding. Practice, you know, that teamwork that's needed for raiding. Something else that's been on my mind lately is that we haven't heard anything about a Sandbox update with Rise of Iron. So if you don't know what a Sandbox update is, it's basically a weapon reset. It's a weapon rebalancing. It's a chance for Bungie to kind of go through and say, all right, pulse rifles are getting a, you know, 0.04% nerf. Auto rifles are getting, you know, this buff, and you know, it's one of those. Last time we saw a big one was the April update, and that's not the biggest one we've seen. The probably biggest one we've seen was about a week before the Taken King. So I'm not sure if Bungie is just kind of complacent, or not complacent, that's the wrong word, but just kind of happy with where the weapon balancing is. I enjoy the weapon rebalancings because I like something new. I like being able to experiment. Okay, you know, even though this Hawksaw is the same gun I've been using for a year, how does it now interact in the Crucible and in PvE? What have they done to it? I also do think there are some issues in the Crucible specifically that could be addressed in a weapon balancing. I think over the course of the last year, as more and more people have gotten God rolls on shotguns, shotgun range has become a little bit ridiculous. The universal remote range is a little bit on the long side. I also think that the amount of aim assist on sniper rifles is a bit on the long side, or a bit on the high side, and I think that should be toned down a little bit. So there are things that I would like to see addressed, but mostly I do think that the balance of weaponry in the Crucible is in a pretty good spot. There is no clear winner, in my opinion, especially for primary weapons, on what is the best primary weapon. There's multiple choices you can have. However, I'm always looking forward to seeing a rebalancing just to shake things up, have some experimentation again in the Crucible, and have some fun that way. Last thing I wanted to think about or talk about is the new PlayStation controller. So if you guys haven't heard the rumors about the PlayStation Slim coming out in September, one of the adjacent rumors to that is that there is a new controller that's going to be shipping with that. And the new controller isn't that different. It's got some cool features to it, like the light bar is going to be visible from the top of the controller as opposed from just the front of the controller, which is cool, but I don't really care. The big difference for me is the fact that now with the PlayStation Slim controller, if you plug it into your PlayStation, instead of all your controller inputs going wirelessly to your PlayStation, they will now be transmitted via the USB cable. So I've had a problem, and I know that a lot of you have had the problem, where all of a sudden your controller seems to just freak out. Either it's getting random inputs or the inputs are super delayed. That's because the PlayStation controller works over Bluetooth. Bluetooth is very susceptible to interference from outside sources. It's also very susceptible to if things are blocking its direct line of sight to the PlayStation, it can be blocked. I've had that happen frequently at key moments in like Trials of Osiris or in raids, and it's really annoying. And being able to transmit my controller inputs over a wire, similar to how the Xbox One currently does it, is just preferable in my eyes. Even if it's a little bit of a reach to get to your PlayStation, you can buy a pretty cheap long USB cable and get that to happen. And having that increased reliability and faster input time for your PlayStation controller, I think is going to be really worth the wait. So hopefully this thing comes out in early September. And I'll be one of the first to order one. So if you're looking to buy a SCUF, if you're looking to buy a new PlayStation controller, you might want to hold off a couple of weeks and get the newer version when the Slim is released. The Slim will be able to use that wired connection on both the older PS4 as well as the new PlayStation 4 Slim edition. So that is kind of my PSA of the week if you're a PlayStation player. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hit that like button if you liked the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time.